Hey guys, welcome back to TakeOver Tuesday. It's so good to have you. And man, we got a little bit of a surprise for you, a little twist in the action. We're going to do something totally different on this TakeOver Tuesday. In fact, the next couple of TakeOver Tuesdays will be a little different because I'm going to talk to various leaders in our organization here at The Bend and just get different perspectives. And I thought that would be great for many of you because I know that there are leaders around the country from various backgrounds, and a lot of you are in church leadership. And so today I am honored to have Miss Lindsey with me. She's a little nervous. I told her to relax. She's going to be good. But Lindsey and Tim, they run our young adult ministry. And so basically college age, we'll talk about that. And we're just going to talk about today what they're seeing, what they're feeling, what they're running into, and how they're trying to overcome that. And maybe be able to give you guys some keys as we have a conversation together of how you can reach the next generation with the gospel of Jesus Christ, because I think it's fair to say it's a little tough navigating the generational divide. And so anyway, first of all, I know you never asked this, Lindsey.
Oh no.
Yes, I knew. But I got to ask, just give a little context. How old are you and your husband?
I'm 33, he's 34.
Yeah. So you can still brag on that when you're young, right? And you guys have now been doing young adult ministry for how long?
So at the Bend, we've been here for a year.
Yeah. So a year. And they started literally, guys, in their living room.
Yeah.
With a handful of hungry young adults, some of which were come out of, hurt situations. Mm-hmm. And so you basically were just started out doing ministry.
Yeah.
And so that has grown significantly. And now I'm trying to figure out how in the world I'm going to keep these guys and, pay them everything they're worth so they can't run off and go anywhere else because they're doing a tremendous, tremendous job. So let's talk about young adults. We know we have a promise in Scripture that God said in the last days He'd pour out His Spirit on our sons and daughters.
Yeah.
And so my heart, you guys' heart, and a lot of pastors, leaders' hearts that are watching us, they have a heart for young adults. They have a heart for youth. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, they're a little frustrated about how to reach them because they don't really know what to do. Mm-hmm. And I even know some pastors that feel like they have tried everything and nothing has worked.
Yeah.
And so could you take a moment to that about maybe the frustration of that and what you guys have run into, and have you guys had a little bit of that feeling as you've tried to navigate the process, figure out how to reach young adults?
Yeah, I think, like you said, because we started out first in our home and we had 7 or 8 young adults come to us and just seek us out and asking us, how do we seek the Lord? How do we bridge the gap? How do we just find community ourselves? It was almost this open door that the Lord was like, hey, hear them first before you walk into ministry in the church. And so I think that gave us some confidence to know that when we walked into the church building, we knew a little bit on a small scale of their hearts and what they're hurting from. And so I think the big thing in the church that we see with the young adults is that they're still trying to figure themselves out. So that awkward age of 18, 19-year-olds to about 28, some are married, some are starting families, some are going to college, some are here locally who, move from the West Coast just to come to college. So they have nobody here. And they're truly looking for something that's real. And they feel like they've grown up in church. They've seen their grandparents, their parents, their aunts, their uncles all live this double standard life. And so they don't want that. They want something that is real. Mm-hmm. When we were just on campus, that was one of the biggest things that we heard was, how do you have so many young adults here who actually seem like they love Jesus? Like, is that a real thing or is that fake? And it was amazing to be able to talk to not just other young adults coming on campus, but to parents. We had a parent who asked us that, is this real? Because I've seen my entire life, my parents fight on the way to church and then walk in the building and it's like, oh, we're good. Oh, don't worry. We're not hiding anything. And so it's this facade. So I think the young adult generation is just wanting something so real, so authentic, that they want to be vulnerable. They want to be able to come with true desires of learning something that they've never experienced.
So let's do this. There's a myth, or seems to be a myth out there in a lot of pastors and even a lot of church people's minds, that this generation doesn't want to be approached with the gospel of Jesus, that they don't want to be involved in church. Do you believe that's true, or is that what you're experiencing?
No, I feel like that is not what we're experiencing. The more relational we are with these kids, the more that they are seeing Jesus in us, and that's what they're longing for.
Yeah, and just I want to give context to the listeners. We are not in a Christian college town.
No.
This is a secular university.
Yeah.
And in some ways a very, in some ways it's conservative, some ways it's liberal. So we have a blend of everything here. So you're not seeing a resistance.
I would say it's more 80-20. 80% of the time, you're going to find people that truly long for it. We actually just had an experience with a young adult who has a very different background in his beliefs, and he wanted to have a conversation just how our church operates. And it was amazing that he was very willing to listen, and he had so many amazing questions for Tim. I wasn't in that conversation. I got to hear it secondhand, but just knowing that, like, they just want Jesus. They don't want a name. They don't want a brand. They just want more of Jesus, and they want him tangibly.
I think it's really important for everybody to hear that, is because in our minds, I'm 55. When I look, we're being sold the idea that they really want a brand.
Right.
The image matters, the brand matters. And I think there's a little truth to that. But you're saying they're looking way beyond that. In fact, that kind of, to them, do they feel like that's hokey?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They're looking through a tainted lens of hurt, they're looking for the fakeness instead of them really being able to firsthand see the realness. They're looking to see where you're fake. And then if you're not, most of the time what we hear is, oh, we know that person's fake. Oh yeah, we don't hang out in this crowd because of how, not authentic they are. And when they come to us, we've had so many young adults tell us, like, it's about the authentic community. It's about how real you guys are. You don't dumb us down. You don't hide anything from us, especially being under your leadership. We have so many young adults who come here because they want to go into ministry. Whatever that looks like for them, they're not sure. But what they love is that you don't water anything down. So therefore we don't either. And they really see ministry for what it is and get to experience that.
I think this is something that we really need to lay out for them as well. Guys, I think there's this perception, number one, that this generation doesn't want the Lord. And we're trying to say to you that is a false perception. Yeah. They just don't want fake.
Right.
But more importantly, out of 100 kids, how many are called to ministry?
Right.
Like if I chose 100 of our young adults and said, you feel a call to ministry, how many would you guess?
Oh man. Well, I feel like in our church right now, there's probably 20.
Okay. So 20 or 25% of those kids are going to feel called to ministry. And that's really significant. So not only is it a myth that we can't reach them, many of them have significant calls on their life, and all they're wanting is somebody to help them step into it. And they don't know what that means. I mean, they're 17, 18, 19 years old, and they don't necessarily, or I don't think they should know what that means.
Right.
I talked to one of our young ladies yesterday afternoon, that I think you're meeting with later, and that was one of the things we talked about. I said, hey, you're 19.
Right.
Relax. You shouldn't know
Yeah.
what you're. Very rarely does somebody say, I know exactly what I want to do.
Right.
And
That
even
maturity.
even the ones who do that, they go into college and they always end up changing majors and shifting things around because, life is that way. So how would you, if you were advising a pastor, a leader, or maybe, a volunteer team that is trying to reach young adults in youth and young adults in this generation, what would be some practical things? And I'm putting her on the spot because she doesn't know, this is not a rehearsed conversation. I wanted this to be a real conversation. What are some practical things that you could tell the leaders that are watching, hey guys, this is what you need to do, and this is definitely what you don't need to do.
Okay.
And let's explore a couple of those things, and maybe just throw out some ideas of how to help them bridge the gap. Now, I want to say in advance to all of the pastors that it's very important that you have a heart for them. They can see through what you're doing. So if you don't have a heart for them, if it's not genuine and authentic, if it doesn't start with the head, doesn't matter what they do, it'll end up getting off track. So we're going to assume that every leader has a heart for the next generation. We'll just assume that. And let's just take it from there. What are some practical things that you would say, hey, if I was starting right now in my house with a group of kids, this is what I would, I say kids, they're young men and women.
I call them kids.
Yeah, they're kids to us. But what would you do?
Okay, so I first off would say create an authentic relationship. Learn them. I think that was one of the best things that Tim did and modeled when we had 8 in our home.
How did you do that?
So we just really spent time with them outside of their normal lives. And actually, we invited them into our life. And they liked that more than us sitting at a coffee shop. And I've found that most of the young adults that we meet with, they want to come hang out at our house. They want to hang out with our kids. They want to go to their ball games. They want to be a part of something that's bigger than them.
So contradictory to what we think.
Yes.
We think they want to meet at a coffee shop because that's a trendy thing to do.
Yeah, so most of the time, and don't get me wrong, we have, I just met with one today at a coffee shop. They do appreciate that, but I also have seen that when I go to one of their houses or they come to mine, they're so much more calm, relaxed, willing to open up about what's going on in their lives, what their past struggles are, what they feel called to do, but they have no context of what that looks like.
Right.
So really being relational and cultivating that. And that's hard to do if you have 50 young adults at first, right? But I think that's where God was so gracious to give us 8 and to just have a foundation and learning how to do that with them. And in that, you get to celebrate their life wins when they get engaged, when they get married. So far, we haven't had anybody have babies yet, so I haven't experienced that one. But going to college, graduating college, making life decisions. We had somebody switch a job that they've been praying that they have been wanting out of, and just things like that you get to celebrate the wins, and you're one of the first phone calls that they make to tell. And then from there, I think too, a misconception is that they don't respect us. They do actually. I mean, I can text one of our young adults back and just be like, hey, right now I can't talk to you about this subject because I'm, with my kids or whatever that looks like. And they're so willing because of the relationship behind it to have grace for you. Then from there, it's not a one-sided relationship. Right. If that makes sense.
Right.
So I definitely think relational, meeting them where they're at, really truly having a heart that our motto is say what you mean what you say. So when you say, I'm going to have the young adults over, and you do, it matters to them. They show up because you said it, you set that appointment time with them, And they don't care if it's 15 minutes with you. I mean, most of these young adults came to your house and probably said hi to you, had very short conversations because there were so many there. Yeah. But that like impacted them so greatly.
Actually, it was just the opposite. I mean, once they got there and, you know, and realized that it was such a casual, I just wanted to hang out with them. I like never got them to shut up. I mean, they just, you know, they were talking all over the place and it was fun.
Right.
You know, and then I just pulled a chair up in the living room and I just said, hey, I just want to share my heart with you.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. Like they were sitting on the edge of their chairs and just really leaned into what I was saying to them. And it was just simple life advice. Yeah. But they were so hungry for that. I was really shocked.
I love it because one of the things that I have learned with the young adults, and I would say in the last like 3 months, is they'll say to us, I know your heart. Because we've had to have some difficult conversations in the last few months with some of them of just helping them. They don't have parents in their lives or just with advice and whatnot. And we always go with love and truth and grace, right? But for them to be able to, at the end of the conversation, look at us and be like, no, we know your heart and we know that you love us. Like that for us is so impactful to see them in that lens and for them to see us in that lens. So it does work. It can take time that feels hard.
Yeah. And I think that's where people get discouraged because they want to start out big. You know, they want this to be a big thing right off the bat. And when it comes to young adults, it doesn't happen that way. Is it fair to say that events don't excite them?
Yeah, I would agree. It's not about the event. It's about the next thing I would say that in our home, we kept it very personal. We kept it very presence-based. Whether that was we're going to have a time of worship and just play worship music and you sit with the Lord. And if you need prayer, like we're coming to you to pray with you. Just that intimate setting, coming back to intimacy to just show up. And I love it because you talk about that, like, God always shows up for the walk. And so that's something we've implemented is like, we want to show up for the walk with them. If they call us and we can, just being there to show up and knowing that once you do with that relationship, with that intimacy, with that consistency, they in return will respond to that very well. And they will show up in your ministry, in your life. I love it because I'm watching it in our own lives with our kids, like with our actual children. These young adults show up in their lives and celebrate them. And so it's just this ripple effect. And that's what they long for.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because in my generation, how you built a church or how you built the young adults, you did events. You did lots of activities. You did events. And what I keep hearing you and Tim over and over again say is that that's not, they like doing them, but it's not what excites them.
No.
That's not what moves them.
No.
In fact, I've been shocked at you guys will have some pretty cool events, whether it's Top Golf or something like that. And there's a handful that goes, but that's not the bulk of, and they're not even really in to it. You know, they're more into just hanging out, being together, having somebody to do life with them is what matters at this stage of their life.